Welcome back. Episode 37.
What's up, shitbags? Welcome back. Sorry for the technical difficulties that started at the beginning of the year. Noticed that my mic was fucked. So, not that it's great to hear my voice anyway, but it probably sounds a little bit better now. So, notice that one. So, apologize for how that started off. But
We're
like
working
you
through
said,
it.
yeah, working through all this stuff. But
New year, new problems.
yeah, exactly. No, it's been a great start to the year. We're really thankful for all you guys. Have some great feedback on like the civilian episode, and how things are headed. So that's awesome. Really glad that turned out well. We got one more civilian before the end of the year, and so that'll be a cool change. We got the officer and then EMS based as well. So it's a pretty cool and good mix. So it'll be fun to have that going. But a huge thank you to our sponsor. Toxic Suppression, Crew First, Jobtown, Taylor's Tins. Couldn't do it without those guys. So check them out, show them some love. Whatever you got to get. I mean, we got a wide variety now. If you want plastic, like just plastic in a metal cup, like Taylor sells. He's got the shiny cardboard now too. You know, if you want any random thing, you can get it from Taylor.
Dirt.
Yeah, dirt. If you want some shirts, some mugs now, the tumblers, go to Jobtown or get it from us on our website. You can get that too. Those are cool. If you want the victim drag strap, Toxic Suppression, I mean, you can get so much stuff from everybody. And now Crew First, Jeremy, he's starting back up his podcast again. Go check him out, show him some love. It's got some awesome episodes. We'll be talking to him.
Some merch from him.
Too. But yeah, thank you guys. It's been a cool year. And let's stop blabbing and bring in the real man of the hour. So let's welcome in Joe.
Hey, good morning,
Joe,
guys.
how's it going?
Hey, good morning.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. Why don't you go ahead, give a little introduction about yourself?
Oh, yeah. My name's Joe Gangler. I'm the owner of Side Charlie Custom Tools. From Wisconsin. I'm a firefighter with the city of Madison. So that's kind of the bread and butter. I think we've gone into a little bit of the background behind the scenes, but I got to meet you guys down in Georgia. It was awesome. And so that was a fun little connection through Nick Pepper. So got to pay off sometimes having just some good friends, meeting some cool people. So appreciate being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, we talk about with everybody. I mean, you just meet tons of people at these conferences. So it's been cool. We talked about that. MAFC was a huge one. A lot of the guests we have this year, we met down at MAFC. So go check out some great trainings with everybody and you'll meet some great people.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys were just finishing up that extreme 24-hour class.
Yeah. Yeah. From Dave, our last guest, he was one of the instructors, the TRT. That was a fun time. Great course. We talked about it a lot last episode, but everybody should take that. It's an awesome course.
That's how I knew you guys were the real deal.
I don't know about that.
We try. We just like going through hell.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll jump right into the questions that we got here. You mentioned that you were the owner of Side Charlie Custom Tools. And so what led to the creation of that?
So it was kind of a fluke, I guess. But I kind of like to tinker and I'm really into tools and mechanical stuff. And I just really looked heavily at the hook and the Halligan, just because those are in my mind, the most useful tools on a structure fire. And so I was carrying those a lot, and I always kind of felt like, man, if I could just get some more leverage on the Halligan, and if I could just make the 6-foot hook a little more collapsed down, just for searching and stuff like that. I found that a lot of times, like you get in a smaller house and it's cumbersome. You're staging it in the hallway or whatever. So my first endeavor was trying to figure out how I could combine those tools together. And it became our first tool, and we had it for I think 2 or 3 years. We actually don't have that one anymore, which is ironic, but that's how it all began. And Surprisingly enough, once we figured out how to join them together, it worked quite well off the bat. And it was some good friends of mine were helping with it, and it kind of snowballed from there. It was just like making one-offs, and then we kind of looked at it, and it's a primarily family business with some close friends, and we looked at each other, we're like, should we do this thing for real? And stupidly enough, we did. So that's where we're here now. But
that's awesome. Do you have some of the? I see some of the tools in back. I mean, what are the ones that you guys got now?
Oh boy, we got everything from extendable Halligans, which we started off with. We're just on our second generation at this point, and then we have your like tried and true 30-inch standard bar.
Mm-hmm.
We have 6 Halligans total. So basically, other than I would think maybe fire hooks, we probably offer the most Halligans on the market, which I'm proud of. So there should be a little bit of something for everybody.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
That extendable one was pretty cool. One of our former lieutenants, and I was down at Beaver Dam, had that really, really quick. He said, I think it was kind of just after you guys really started doing it, Eric. And he put that thing through hell. We were doing it a lot on the door and on calls, and it was true. We were honestly a little worried about like the 2-piece with sliding, but man, that could hold up. That really could. There was not many issues that came from that.
Yeah, that's probably our most common thing, and the fire service is so traditional, right? So that's like right away our biggest response. And most times we just like, I totally understand, like just use it on the door. Just if you got a door prop, just or when we're at a conference or whatever, like we can talk about it for a half an hour, or you can just go get some reps, and you'll instantly feel better about it. So yeah, but we got into the more standard tools as well. Just I think that was a little more comfortable for the fire side.
Yeah.
And but we've grown a lot in popularity with police and military as well.
Cool.
I think we kind of think of on the fire side maybe a little unfairly, but you think of like maybe like a patrol cop that's just had no reps on a Halligan or whatever, but Halligans are becoming very popular in law enforcement, and like these TAC teams and stuff like that, they're forcing sometimes multiple doors a day. So so it's definitely a growing segment, and we're excited to be in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. We used to talk about that a lot when I was on the team down in Beaver Dam with the cops, because that was what they would ask. Sometimes they asked if we could bring one, or there was always talking about. I know the county team carries one, because that's exactly like you said. They've got to force many doors at a time. So if they're doing it, that's just an easy way to do it. You can take down any, especially interior doors. I mean, exterior doors are more than easy, but an interior door with a Halligan stands no chance.
Right, and like I mean, we could get in a rabbit hole with this, but like there's just they've really come around to like see how effective and when you're efficient with it. You can do it sometimes quietly, whatever their situation is. It really can apply to so many different realms for them.
Yeah,
and the problem that they had is they had all these tools that were basically a terrible version of the Halligan. They just had these poor quality tools so they weren't very effective because they didn't have the right angles. The ends weren't properly tuned or I guess like weren't designed well. So, I mean, think about using this big chunky tool and you're like, oh, this thing doesn't work because you haven't had a good Halligan. So we're kind of getting into that realm. But, I mean, on the fire side as well, like we have tons of, from all over the country, we have individuals that order the extendables as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But I'd say as far as departments go, they tend to order our heritage bar, which is like the 30-inch standard. Right here. So this is probably our most popular.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, sweet. Yeah. Check them out. Check out Side Charlie Custom. What's your website or what people can find you at?
Yes, super easy. Side Charlie Custom Tools is the handle for like all our socials, and then just sidecharlietools.com is our website. So
Nice. Yeah.
pretty easy to find.
Absolutely. Go check them out. Show them some love. That's awesome. Got some great tools there. Like we said, we did get to play with a couple well before we actually even met you. And even what, Brendan, that would have been almost 3 years ago, probably
3 years ago
Yeah.
now.
So even 3 years ago, that was some great quality tools. So I can only imagine that you've gotten more experienced and even better quality since then. So
Oh yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we have like I really think our Gen 2 tools are on upgrade. So hopefully
Awesome.
we can get you guys hands on them.
yeah, awesome.
Cool.
Well, perfect. Now we'll keep the talk on tools. You mentioned that your first idea was kind of combining the two tools that you liked, but what tools are you grabbing for a primary search and why?
Primary search. I tend to do a lot without an axe. So when I'm grabbing the tools, and that's kind of, you got to read the structure you're going into, and you got to train for that as well. So we trained a lot on single firefighter forcible entry. So with that said, I'll grab the Halligan, but I will always have a wedge with me. Sometimes that's been the difference of getting in a door or just kind of sitting out there working at it, and now maybe people are waiting on you or whatnot. But at least going into here, I found that the Halligan can do most anything. Other than obviously the hook, is nice to have, but that's not something I'm immediately concerned with on search.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, I think the wedge is overlooked a lot from people. I think they pair those irons up. And if your assignment is like forcible entry, I could totally see grabbing the axe, grabbing there. But I think people are looking for that one tool when I think it's that 1.5. Like having a wedge in your pocket or having a wedge thrown on your Halligan is extremely helpful if you come into a door during your search.
Yeah, and I kind of challenge guys. I'm like, okay, where does the axe go after you force that door? You bring it in with you, and a lot of times it stays at the door, right? So we're kind of challenging that concept. And one thing we designed our bars to be able to do. So if you notice this really wide fork here, so we can actually flip end for end. If I had the right tool with me, but we can set the adds down in here and create a mated pair. So we've been doing a ton with 2 Halligans together, and it's super, super effective with forcible entry. Basically, if you think of the axe, you get a striking tool and a wedge. And when you think of a Halligan, I can get a wedge here, I can get a striking tool, and I get a prying tool. So once I capture that progress for somebody, I can throw my fork in for them instead of just, having that as a spacer. Now I can pry at the same time. So you're forwarding the progress so the next person can put their tool in and go again. And I'm really excited because we got a trial program going on. So we put out for applications, we're going to send 2 sets of irons out. And there's going to be a year-long trial. And so Fort Worth and Columbia are going to be doing it. So I'm super excited to get the data back on that, because they're going to be really diligent about taking notes from any fires they go to and see the effectiveness. Because again, back to history and traditional, how long have we been carrying the axe and Halligan together? Probably since the beginning of that, the Halligan. So,
well, even the axe, like anybody in the world thinks of firefighting, and you're assigned that axe. That axe comes into your mind. If you see a firefighter with a tool, that's what you picture. So
absolutely,
that'd be a huge push for a culture change.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, the axe is always going to be part of the fire service, and I think it should be. I think there's purpose for it, but it's all I'm just trying to like push back a little bit, and like we need to rethink some of this stuff, because before the Halligan, we had, or at least, I'm just thinking of East Coast history, but you had multiple prying tools. So I'm pretty sure the term ironsman came from someone that was carrying two different prying tools, probably the claw and the Kelly. I'm trying to get more history behind it, but that's how I understand it. So, before the Halligan, I don't know if the axe was not necessarily mated up with those tools.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting. I don't know, but I'm kind of a nerd like that.
Well,
no,
Sam Hiddle in Wichita is now teaching the two Halligan forcible entry. Last year, I think I heard it first was at his conference, or at firemanship. Was he teaching that? I don't know. One of them, he was teaching forcing door the two Halligans, and the way he did it worked way better than a Halligan and an axe. So
if Hiddle's doing it, that's some good shit.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get together with him. I mean, it's not something that we came up with by any means. It's just that we believe in it, and we believed in it so much that we designed the Halligans to mate together. So, I mean, I'm hoping that at some point, and even like if you take it out of the context of the fire service, right? Like we've been working with PD and military and stuff, and they don't carry axes. So that concept to them is foreign. So they're very apt to be working two bars together. And specifically, we got together with the Phoenix Police Department probably 3 years ago, and actually their special unit, special assignments team, and those guys have been running two Halligans together for a long time. So this has been out there. That's a big rabbit hole, but it's just something I get excited about. So
I think that's awesome. Starting of a new trend of marrying two Halligans together. So I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, the forward thinking to have the proper like way to marry it together is going to be nice too. I mean, that's a great part, because everybody always, we got all these complicated, at least by us, we got all these complicated straps to keep the irons together and like all this stuff. Like you just put it together and
right.
Great. It works.
Yeah,
great.
I can see if I can. I don't want to take too much time, but these are different lengths and stuff. But I could see if, just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
So basically, this would set in. Yeah, they're different length, but you kind of get the idea. So this will set in like that, and they marry pretty nice. So
I like that.
Also, like you look, and it's really easy to hold. I don't know if, especially if you got a smaller hand or whatever. But and then the 230s together, it's about 20 pounds. So could be maybe 1 or 2 pounds heavier than the iron, the traditional irons, but nothing noticeable. Yeah. And then like if you break off, so like if you get up to a second floor and you got a center hallway apartment complex with 20 doors, here you go. You go that way, I'm going this way. So the utility of it, I think it's pretty high, but I actually like to prove things out as well. So, you can have a concept, you can have this and that, and then an idea, and really real life will tell you something different. Like I don't want to do anything gimmicky. So that's why we're sending these to some companies that are going to some fires. Yeah. And we'll hear back pretty quick if it's a good thing. Yeah. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sure.
Good change. I like the thought. And like we said, we love rabbit holes. So that was a good one. We love being able to talk about new stuff like that. Awesome. So we'll kind of keep going this. You almost answered the question, but just kind of curious as to maybe if you aren't, if somebody in your assignment would be, but are you searching with a can?
Yeah. So I think we had talked off the show, but I'm often assigned to an ambulance. So for better or worse, I'm just really fortunate that our department's really good about getting the medics involved right away in firefighting. And also we're on the road a lot, so plenty of times we roll up first due. And with that being the case, we have a set of irons, a hook, and a can. So absolutely. In fact, like, you know, I've been on some fires on the engine or whatever, or, you know, the med unit, and the can gets left. And that's, you know, then you're stretching all this line. And a lot of times, you know, it's a room and contents or a stove fire or something like that. So absolutely. The can is a great tool. So
yeah, you can put out a lot of fire with a can. You
Yeah.
can.
100%. Yeah. And then you combine that with like kind of controlling the fire behavior a little bit, maybe closing some doors, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Searching for fire. You know, it's two different ways to search. You're searching for fire, searching for victims. You can do a little bit of both at once, but you're first on scene. You find the fire, it makes the whole thing go by quicker. You let that engine know, hey, it's second story, the third room. Like, this is the stairs. This is where I found them. Or you close the door, knock it down, and then you start searching. Like, you buy so much time or make things go so smooth.
Yeah, and that's so much fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, other than being on the nozzle or something, that's probably the most fun you can have, is just getting in there, you know, force the door, go find the fire, and come out and tell them.
Yeah. So. It is. Yeah, it's a blast. Just you and one other dude just running for the fire, following the lines, getting it, and then letting the engine do all the work while you get to do the fun search work.
Yep. So. Absolutely.
Awesome. And then our kind of last personal question, and then we'll go into the generic questions that we ask kind of everybody each year. What is your truck company's staffing, and how do they get assigned when you get on a fire scene?
Yeah, so our staffing is four on a rig. That's including the officer. So I think pretty good staffing. For, you know, around the country goes. I know some have 5 or 6, but you know, we're lucky to have 4. And so we have double companies, and then we have single pull ladder companies. So I think the tactics change a little bit depending on where you're assigned, but you know, to some degree, we'll have the driver and junior firefighter link up together and probably work on more like a ventilation type thing, while initially the officer and senior firefighter are going to go in on search. But that totally depends on building type, your run order, all that stuff. So kind of situation dependent, but that's our staffing at least.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, that works. 4 on the truck is really nice. That would be.
Yeah, you know, depending where you're at, that's a luxury, right? I mean, you know,
our
some are 2, some are 3.
Yep, our minimum is 2, so like we can have our 3 people off, and they get pulled from the truck. So technically, if everybody is at work, nobody's taken off, we could have 5 on the truck. But then as soon as people start taking off, we go all the way down to 2, which that sucks with like the fluctuation, because you know, then the truck company changes based on staffing, which can change multiple times in a day. If people take comp, take their, like, there's a lot of things that fall into there, but that's just the staffing levels. So it's just kind of fills in where they need to be filled in.
Yeah, and that's the real world. Like, I feel like there's this, like, people forget, or people think that everyone has staffing like these big cities, or you know, not to say all big cities do, but like, you know, 70-some% of the country is either volunteer or minimal staffing, paid on call. And we try and tie that as well into forcible entry stuff. Like, you're not necessarily going to have a dedicated second person to come in for you. So when we do training and whatever, we train like, hey, you're going to force this door by yourself.
You're right.
Once you learn that, and you learn how to really use the tool, then okay, let's add some guys in this, and this. But one thing that drives me absolutely nuts is the IPSTA book or whatever. Like, if you went by that, you'd be stuck. You'd be like absolutely stuck if you didn't have a second person working with you. So so with like our fire academy, I try and go up like at the end of the academy with the recruits, and we'll just do single firefighter, because even with a department with good staffing, 80-some% of the time, 90% of the time, I'm working alone. You know, so
yeah, same with us. I mean, a very smaller department, we get paid on call, and 6. Our minimum staff is 6 on a shift. So we got 6 people rolling up to a fire, and you got paid on call, so your 6 people are doing their jobs by themselves pretty much.
Yeah,
so I can attest to that.
Cool. That's cool. You know, you guys do what you can, and I did volunteer for a while, and that's just how it is, especially like states like Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Probably have like what two, 3 bigger cities in the state, a lot of rural areas.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Midwest is like that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, that wraps up the specific questions that we got for you. So now Brennan's got a couple more. He's got our favorite one to start off with, and then we got some just generic questions before we get to your job, where it's your questions to come up with.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
So you can take this one any way you would like. The question is, why are we here?
Why are we here? Okay. I guess I'll just take it in the context of the fire department. We're kind of here, in my opinion, to be a catch-all, right? I mean, we're just here to solve problems that people can't solve for themselves. And I think that's pretty cool. It's a fun job to be a part of, just because like no one else is going to solve this issue unless we show up. So that's a pretty cool place to be in, but also comes with a lot of responsibility. So you know, knowing your job, training, having multiple disciplines, right? We're doing EMS, we're doing fire, we're doing hazmat. Anything that could come up seems to be our problem or our problem to solve. So it's a really hard job, but it's a really rewarding job because of it. So that's, I guess that's what I think about.
Awesome.
Here, so.
Yeah, our job definitely has a lot of moving parts. I mean, we have to be specialized in a lot of different things. Yeah. Our fire EMS is just the basic. Now we got to add tech teams and dive team and tactical EMS, hazmat, shit, you name it. We are catch-all.
Like, you got to be proficient in everything, and you should try and be more than proficient in everything. But I think you should kind of find one thing you really love to do and get really good at it. Because
for sure,
you always have that one person on whatever call, whether it be like they know every single thing about HVAC, or they know every single thing about building construction or ladders or whatever, and just the team, you know, putting everybody's strengths together, you can really be effective. So obviously you have to be good at everything, but you can kind of specialize, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Find your passion.
Sure. Yeah. Find a passion is so true. Because like there's so much that you can choose from too. That is the best thing. Is like, you could, like you said, we have to be good at everything, but there's so many options to be passionate in. Like you're gonna find something. You're gonna go to one of these trainings, or you're gonna hear about one thing, and you're gonna feel that spark get lit. And if you specialize in that, you just become an even better asset. I mean, you get, like, if you get the base level competencies and everything, you're at least not a hindrance. But then you get your specialization on one of these things, then you're a real asset there. So like that's, I think, your biggest thing is you want to be able to be plug and played, but be someone to rely on for something especially.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, it helps you in your career because you're gonna hit this 10-year mark or whatever. And if you're in a rut and you don't have something you really like doing or you're really into, you're just gonna be one of those people that come into work and they're just going through the motions. So it's like, and I think over a career, if you do 20, 30 years, you're gonna have the ups and downs, but you gotta have something that's driving you more than just, well, let's see what call comes in today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. I like that.
Awesome.
Next one. Where did you discover your passion for training? I know we've seen you at Georgia and you're on here, so you got to be somewhat of a go-getter.
Yeah, and that's been a journey really because I came into an amazing first crew. I was so lucky, and I really didn't understand how good I was having it, with the level of training. how smart those guys were. It was just like the ideal crew to come in with. But I don't think I really embraced that enough at first or realized it. I had one guy who said, "Hey, come down to this conference with me, whatever," and I kind of, I kind of hemmed and hawed or didn't get down there. And it wasn't until, I want to say like 3 years later that I was like, oh, I'll try this out. And these conferences, I mean, that's the perfect place to catch a spark. So
oh yeah, you get hooked.
Yeah, definitely. So it's kind of between that and then just getting more into the tools and everything like that. But I'm telling anybody that comes on the department, hey, get to one conference a year. Try and do that. And a lot of times I think it's the young firefighter, it's kind of the, oh yeah, I'll look into that. And I'm like, no, seriously, these are 4 you should probably go to. Pick one of them, and then you check back in with them 6 months later and like, did you register for that? Well, no, I missed that one, but I'm going to keep on them because, like I said, for me, it wasn't immediate.
Yeah.
And, but some people it is. It's like they get in and they just like hungry, which I applaud them. And I think that's amazing. But sometimes it just takes a minute to catch the spark and all that. So hopefully I'm getting there. But I always find like, even with myself, on shift, whatever, like keep that training drive, keep learning. Even for forcible entry, like I get on the door as much as I can because I'm like, well, if you're out there teaching this stuff, you better be decent at it,
Yeah.
Or like when we do a class, like I'll hop in at the end and we'll do like a little like race to get through the door, and just I'm gonna hop in because if I'm there saying how you should do this, and this, I better be able to do it too, So
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But so I try and do that, but honestly, I have such good guys I'm working with. Like I was laughing the last conference we went to. I just stood back and they just did everything, and I was like, man, these guys got it. Like I don't have to do anything. I'm just I'm just here. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. What piece of advice were you given on day one that stuck with you?
Well, so my dad's retired fire, and one of the things he said to me was really important. And it was I had gone through the fire academy, and there was just an academy can be just ups and downs, right? They're messing with you in every way they can, emotional, physical. And I think I was a little dejected or something. And he said to me, you build your career in 20 years, not 20 days. So like, and your reputation. So he was kind of like, if there's, something you wish you would have done better, or instructor you didn't get along with, or this and that, like just be a tried and true over 20 years. Don't worry about the immediate. And I think that was just super good advice. And I try and take that because, there's always people you're going to rub the wrong way or this or that. But like people see you're the same person over 20 years, that's all that matters. So I try and keep that in mind.
Yeah. I think that's very underappreciated too when you think of what can change in 20 years. I mean, like you said, being the same person in 20 years, you think of all of the, maybe negative or not so great leaders, engineers, officers, people that you've seen. It usually has some basis in like, oh, they used to be like this and then they totally changed. They got this promotion and they're this whole new person. Like, and I think that's where a lot of negativity gets based on, is when you let the job define you and change you, where I think you hit it on the head. If you stay that same person for 20 years, you keep being a go-getter. You don't have these, I mean, everybody's going to have bad days, but you don't have these big ebbs and flows and changes. Like, you're going to be a lot more respected and better off.
Yeah. And you even think about it in a bad sense. Like, you have that one kind of, let's say, a-hole kind of guy, but he's always the same a-hole kind of guy, and he's, you know, whatever, he's good at his job, but you know, you can almost respect that in a way.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
you know what to expect.
You're like,
he's an asshole.
I don't like that about you, but you, or that's maybe not even the best example, but like, just
I get, yeah, for sure.
knowing what you're getting, and you know, it's the people that you don't know what to expect. That's kind of where I'm just like, okay, I'm not sure where to put you, kind of thing. But
yeah, you
I think
always
being consistent.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
You'll hear all the time of like, I think one of the most negative comments you hear at these conferences or anything is like, oh, you never know what version you're gonna get, you know, when you walk in the door, like whether they're talking about an engineer or an officer or even just a firefighter. It's like you never know what version of them you're gonna get when you show up to work. It's like that's probably one of the most negative outlooks that somebody could have on you.
Yeah, and like, even, you know, if you get into the stuff, so for example, you know, you guys have done the podcast, or just going to trainings or whatever, and you know, people will want to, sometimes people will want to take things to such a negative direction. Oh, you know, those guys are doing a podcast or whatever. I've been called selfish before, you know, having the business and everything like that, and it's just, you know what, if you don't change what, you know, who you guys are and what you're doing, like that's where you can just stand on your ground and just be like, oh, okay, that I guess that's your opinion, but I'm not changing what I'm doing. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I go with it. But
yeah, that was a piece of advice from it sounds weird saying, our friend Corley Moore, but he's true about that shit. When he has this, like, he really cherishes those friendships. But we were talking to him about this, and he mentioned the fact, he's like, I'll never get in the fire service. Like, you could have a firefighter or whatever, and they roof on their off days, or they do construction, they lay floor, they do landscaping, they make money, and everybody's like, yeah, that's their part-time job. He's like, you get people that, you know, make tools for the fire service. Maybe they're out teaching, they do a podcast. And if you start making money for that, like you said, you get, oh, they're selfish. Oh, you're like, it's such that weird where for some reason, like, the fire service doesn't like that people can make money off the fire service, or that they have a passion for the fire service. It's like they expect that you walk out those doors and you've got your own life to worry about. Like, I don't think about this place. I only think about it when I'm here. Like, I'm going to go roof, I'm going to go do landscape. And then you go and teach on your off days or do this stuff. And they're like, what the fuck is this guy? Like, look at this farkle. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's unreal sometimes. Like, and you don't even know. I think it's like it's this weird culture that's, it's not even a jealousy really. I think that's I think that's like the worst way to describe it. It's almost just like well, why are they doing it? Why is he doing it? You know, like, what makes him a forcible entry guy? You know, a lot of times he's on the ambulance. What does he know? Whatever.
Yeah.
But like, it takes like the person to go and do it, and then once you're doing it, you're kind of a target a little bit. And I really don't want to take this in a negative way. I've had so much support from my department. And people on the department, I mean, they've been so nice and kind and helped me and everything, but there's just always going to be that. So you know, I feel like if you guys are pushing the envelope a little bit, doing something cool, doing podcasts, going to trainings, like, there's just going to be a little bit of a target.
Oh yeah.
And you just got to kind of shrug that off and be like, whatever, you know?
Yeah. Like you said, the good always outweighs the bad. I mean, the responsibility, we've talked about it on here so many times, like the text messages we get, the people we've run into at conferences. I mean, even I just had, I was up teaching new medics. So guys just getting into the fire service, and at our tech in Appleton, and two of them were like, hey, I watch and listen to your podcast. And I was like, hey, that's awesome. Like, there will always be more good than bad. It's just, you know, 100%. Usually the human brain tends to focus on that bad a little bit more. And then until you step back and go, hey, is it really all bad? It's like, no, it definitely, there's more support than there is negative.
Yeah. And like, just this morning, we had posted a video, and the comments, I mean, I can't even read through the comments. They're so ridiculous. And you realize that, like, you're like, wow, you know, I really realize that a lot of these people are just the general public.
Yeah.
That don't have any, you know, they just, why are you breaking into someone's house? Why are you selling tools to do, you know? And it's just like, I stopped even listening to any of that, looking at it. It's just ridiculous. But unfortunately, it's like a necessary evil. I don't know for you guys if you do any like advertising or anything or social media, but if you're not doing that stuff, people don't know about you. So it's not my favorite thing, but it's something we've definitely gotten heavy into just to keep things going. So
get people looking. So
absolutely,
for sure. All right, the last generic question that we have. I know there's tons of trains coming now and everything, but what conferences or trains do you think every new firefighter should attend?
Oh, that's a good one. You know, we probably started off on the smaller, more organic ones, and I think that would be the best place to start, just because you make really tight, close friendships. So, I mean, I'm just thinking I don't want to miss anything or whatever, but there's Great Lakes in Michigan. That's a good one. We went down to Georgia, the Bearers of the Oath. They were really good to us right when we were getting started. I mean, they're just all over. There's going to be firemanship in Illinois again. And then the really fun ones, MAFC, that we met at. You know, it's just a fun party. And I mean, if that's not going to charge you up, get into that stuff, I don't know what will. You're around all like-minded people. You get to, you know, a lot of these places are really good about training. You know, they have the culture of training, so they're like, you know, this is our burn building, you know, you guys got it, do it how you would do it. Not the tech school that's like, well, we can't get this thing above 500 degrees. You're like, well, you know what, we don't even need our turnouts. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I guess I would say maybe do a smaller one to start and just try and meet people. You can talk to the instructors, you know, get to know them, get their contact info. And you'll see them again. You know, obviously a lot of these guys get around to different ones. Another one we really like was Lake Tactics in Missouri.
Nice.
That's just a fun time. Good group of people, great training. But yeah, they're just all over.
For sure.
I think, what are some of the ones you guys like?
Smaller one, Sawdust, is pretty cool for Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I missed our own conference. Yeah.
Actually, Brendan's wearing it. I just I could see the little saw.
Yeah, I mean, easy one to get to. I mean, Pierce puts on that.
Yeah, Pierce helps out a lot.
Beautiful buffet, and you know, why not go listen to some awesome people?
Nice and close, and for Wisconsin.
If you're in Wisconsin, like that's what I should start telling people. Like, hey, get to one in the state. You know.
Yes, go to the local ones.
I think we could really do more with Wisconsin. We had
we're lacking
here for like 3 years. And that was awesome. I'd love to get it back going. COVID kind of killed us, but that was great. So maybe we could get another one going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. That wraps up all the generic questions we have for you. So now all we got is two left. So the first one is our question from our last guest. And then the next one's going to be your job of you coming up with a question for our next one, which is Bobby Eckert. So excited to bring him back on and give him another opportunity where we're not worried that we're not going over time.
For sure.
He's man a few words and they all mean something. It's great. Like we said, even just his bio, it's fantastic. He's right to the point. He is right to the point. He does not mess around. But so the question that our last guest Dave has for you is, if you were going to pick, you got a multi-part here. If you're going to pick 3 of your top sources, so books, podcasts, training, whatever it might be, of something that would guide an aspiring firefighter, what would those be?
Oh man, probably the worst person to ask this to. I really got to dig into the books thing a lot more. But I guess I'll just flip this on its head. This is going to be probably a bad answer, but I've picked out people more than that. Like people that inspire me or I think are really amazing at what they do. I've tried to develop a friendship with them and just keep that relationship really tight, and I'm always going to them, hey, what do you think about this? And they're kind of my living resource, right? I mean, it's not on paper or in a podcast, but and that's kind of what you're doing, right? I mean, you're pulling these people in, and so you're doing the same thing really on the podcast, but that's what I've tried to do personally in my career is like keep those like people that you really look up to, and they're your go-to people. I mean, I guess that's not really an answer to that question, but
no, that's
obviously
that's
too
a
like
good answer.
Yeah.
I mean, like what you guys are doing, like this is really important. So keep doing what you're doing because it's just recorded word of a lot of these people that might not ever write a book or whatever, but they're and I'm probably the least person to be interviewing, but just like having guys like Bobby or whatever, pulling really good information out from them, it helps everybody because we can all get on and listen to it, and sometimes I find it therapeutic. You're just driving the car or whatever, and you can just relax and listen to people talk about what they're passionate about. Is pretty cool. So I would say I lean towards podcasts more than books. Just I'm not a big reader.
Yeah. No, that's.
I wasn't either until I started kind of trying to read a couple pages a day.
Yeah.
I definitely building the tolerance for reading. So
I'm gonna have to do it with coffee, so I stay awake.
Yeah,
I can't.
You can tell he's starting to read because he's talking better too. It's great.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm trying my best. I'm a big podcast guy, so.
No, that's awesome. Like you say, you flip the question on its head, but it's still a great answer. So that's awesome. Now our job's done. Now it's all up to you. So you got to come up with a question that we will be asking Bobby on our next episode. Okay. And floor is yours.
Okay, give me a second here. This could really go anywhere. I'm trying not to think of a stupid question. I guess for Bobby, was there a time in your career that you remember was the inspiration to start the training? I guess what point in your career were you inspired to do something on the side, do the training business, get into different aspects of the fire service? So I don't know if that's good, but that'd be interesting to me. So I'll tune in for that episode.
Absolutely, I'll be curious to hear that as well because I think we talked about it very briefly on the last one about Ecker fire tactics, but I think we're gonna let him go a little bit deeper this time on it all. So. Awesome.
Yeah, I got to meet him briefly. He came into our firehouse. He was here for Badger Fire Conference, which is awesome. So, haven't spoken to him probably 7 years, but I'll have to tune in for that. That's great.
We got to meet him down at Wichita, and then we ended up the night after, or that night was the social, and everybody sent her a little hard, and then the next night was flights out. And Bobby was on our flight out, and he was still feeling the night a little bit. It was pretty funny seeing him, but it's just a great time. All these conferences.
Oh, it's fun, man.
It's so much fun.
And, where we go, my favorite bar, we went to McCracken's.
Yeah.
That's where I think last time we met, I was a little tuned up. So
that was a great time. The Fool's Bash, and that was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat drinking with your friends. I mean,
no, not at all.
Doesn't get better. So, well, appreciate you guys. I mean, pleasure to be on the show and
be
listening.
Thanks for coming on.
that's all the questions we've got. So kind of the last part, if you've got any shout outs that you want to do, whether it's people, whether it's some conferences that you guys are doing coming up, floor is yours, whatever you want to end us off on.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I guess like first and foremost, I just want to recognize the team, so it's a family business. So my brother and my dad are very involved. And then we put together a team of awesome guys that are just like unbelievably good. Like I said, much more talented than I am, so I get to kind of just lean on them a little bit. So I appreciate them. And then my wife helps out a ton with just all the logistics. I mean, it's quite difficult to just fulfill all the orders and make sure everything's in line and everything. So I appreciate them. And then, so we're going to be at quite a few conferences this year, and I'm really excited. This will be the first year we're at FDIC.
Nice.
So please come see us. We'll be in the outdoor section just so we can like bang on the door and stuff like that. But if it's not like 20 degrees out, come hang out with us a little bit, so you can see the tools in person. We have kind of a mixed bag of fire conferences and law enforcement this year. So, but FDIC will be the first big fire conference for the year for us. So cool. Come out and check the tools out, and people, like, going back to the extendable thing and the history and culture and stuff. When you pick the tool up, you're kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, this is pretty beefy. It's kind of, you have to see it in person to understand. And we've doubled down on just fine-tuning the manufacturing as we go. So we try and build them as robust as possible. In these Gen 2s, we can replace components on them. So it should be something that lasts you a really long time.
Nice.
And, we do. It's like I say it's like a good pair of leather boots. Like you buy a high quality pair of leather boots, and you can, replace the soles if you need to. You can, you keep them for a long time. So that's what we're going for. And so please come out to see us.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to share some knowledge, for coming on, and did a great job. So can't thank you enough for coming on.
Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be chatting soon.
For sure. Thanks everybody for listening, and don't be a shitbag.
Thanks for listening. Don't be a shitbag.